Hi everyone, good afternoon, good day, good whatever time it is there. Here it is 3:16 p.m. Tuesday, December 22nd. So I wanted to give you an update because I know it's been a couple weeks, I think maybe, um, since I left the last video. And this past Monday, the 14th, I had a chemotherapy consultation to talk to a nurse practitioner about what to expect for chemotherapy. And he took about an hour and a half or so to talk to me about some of the things that I can expect, which I'm glad that he did. Those sessions are scheduled for like up to 3 hours if you need. And I was like, wow. But I had a whole bunch of questions that he had already answered in some capacity before I even was given this nice binder. So I was given a binder to kind of fill me in on all the things that he wouldn't cover during our time of discussing chemotherapy. And I was grateful because as he was talking about chemotherapy, I was like, ooh, that binder looks great. I wonder if I could have it, you know? And then he gave it to me and I was like, Christmas came early. So anyway, he spoke to me about what to expect. And so I mentioned previously in another video that the chemotherapy would consist of two drugs. I think I know how to pronounce them now. Gemcitabine and I'm going to try it again. Docetaxel. So I was under the impression that I was going to get these drugs at the same time every 3 weeks, once every 3 weeks. But after discussion with my nurse practitioner, he mentioned that the first day of treatment, which is going to be next Wednesday, the 30th, first day of treatment, I would receive one drug, and they're administered through IV, and that one drug will be gemcitabine. And then I'll have to come back the next week or the following week to get both gemcitabine and docetaxel. And that second week is the week where I will experience most of the symptoms of chemotherapy. So that was good to know, because the third week is the week where I get nothing at all, no treatment. And then I come back the fourth week, which is a new cycle. And that new cycle will be the one drug, gemcitabine, and then the next week after that, both of the drugs, and then so forth, so on. And so this will happen for the duration of about 12 treatments, this whole process. And it turns out that before I can get treated, I'll have to have a blood cell count, and also have to consult with the doctor before each cycle, just to make sure that everything looks great. So I will go over some of the side effects that were mentioned, and then also the fact that I did have a pelvic exam yesterday, the 21st, with the main doctor, Dr. Carney, who sent my blood work out later on to be, I guess, looked at for my white blood cell count, as well as my red blood cell count, as well as some antigen, some cancer antigen, which is, like he said, a marker to determine, I guess, if there's a possibility of, cancer cells somewhere that could be taking hold of maybe some other part of my body in the soft tissue area. Something to that extent. I don't remember the exact language, but basically they're looking for cancer markers with that blood work. So that will be done, I imagine, maybe every time the blood work is done. So I can ask more about that later, but to be honest, there was a lot of information and I can't remember all of it, and I've written some things down, and like I have this whole binder that I still have yet to go through. So I apologize if I don't answer some of the questions you might even have for me, but feel free to reach out, text me, and ask me later, or suggest questions that I can ask. some of the side effects of these particular drugs that I've mentioned in the past were things like hair loss, which happens, which happens usually about 2 weeks into the treatment, and will gradually fall out and will start to grow back 6 weeks after treatment is completed. So that will be a while. They're expecting my treatments, which are going to be 12 in total, to take place throughout a period of 3 to 4 months. Other side effects might be mouth sores, peripheral neuropathy, dealing with things like, I guess nerve issues, tingly feelings, maybe something with numbness. I did buy a bottle of omega-3 supplements to help out with that. And then also they recommended vitamin B6, 100 milligrams, 3 times a week. And other, maybe homeopathic things as well. And some other treatments like acupuncture, which I will not be doing because, I don't like the idea of needles in that way. Nail changes, skin changes. I'll have to be careful with the sun and chemotherapy. There might be some thinning of my nails and things like that from possible anemia. Anemia is something that can possibly occur throughout the chemotherapy treatment. If it gets low enough, they can give me a blood transfusion, which I've had that already in October when I had to have a minor surgery done, which is when they discovered that I had a cancerous tumor in the first place. And then, of course, nausea and vomiting. I was already prescribed something for that. Unfortunately, with chemotherapy, it's hard to just focus on just the bad cells, right? There's good cells that will be damaged, so I'll just have to be very careful about going out and about. There'll be some possible weakness and fatigue, which won't be too unfamiliar since I had those issues before I had the major surgery, which, by the way, I wanted to say that the surgery to remove my uterus, although, I'm still grieving having lost that part of my body, I am happy that I'm not having these debilitating cramping experiences that leave me on the floor or in the bathroom for quite a long time. So the bleeding has ceased. The cramping is practically gone. I do have some soreness still in certain areas around my abdomen and a little bit of tightness. But the cool thing about it is I noticed so that since I have a tendency to scar really badly in certain places that turn into like really nasty keloids or overproduction of scar tissue that leaves like a raised scar like what I had on my face in my childhood that turned out to be a nightmare for two surgeries. The third surgery was really good, so I was able to address that keloid scar. But the scar from my surgery on my abdomen looks good. And for me, that's a big deal because when I had surgery on my face to remove a keloid scar several years ago, that surgery had to occur 3 times, and the last time I had to have radiation on my face, as well as cortisone injections and plastic surgery to get rid of a raised scar on my face. My stomach, my abdomen area looks wonderful. I noticed what looked like a keloid scar was actually the glue that was making it look darker and raised. And then as I started to heal more, the glue started to break up and I started to see that the scar looks normal. So I feel good about that. I pray that that will continue to look and be normal because keloid scars are very damaging aesthetically for a lot of people who have had them. And for me, it was really damaging to have something like that on my face for years. And children are sometimes not the nicest when you have scars, and so I'm glad that those were addressed that were on my face. So happy about that. What else? There are some other issues with chemotherapy. I have sometimes issues, well, most of the time, issues with tiny veins. So what they often have to do is have multiple people try to draw my blood or find a good vein to put in the IV. So they mentioned something about a port that is higher somewhere on my body that would make it easier for them to give me chemotherapy infusions. Please pray that they are always able to get my veins in my arm, because I don't want the other one, the port, in any other part of my body. I know I have tiny veins, but I would really appreciate them being able to do it in a more natural way. Some other issues with chemotherapy: diarrhea, constipation, so I have to drink lots of fluids. I discovered papaya is really tasty, and it smells kind of funky at first, but it's generally pretty tasty. So I was doing some research, and I decided that one thing I want to have during this time of treatment is papaya with oat milk as a smoothie, and maybe as, just cut up papaya, and maybe the oat milk as, a hot beverage if I don't feel like eating for whatever reason. And I'm going to, for 3 weeks, do a special diet. I spoke to a dietitian. She gave me some information. It wasn't super helpful. It's more like I could just Google what I need to eat in order to be healthy. I will be doing a special diet for myself that I think is necessary, and I will talk to people about that individually. I am excited as well because I was able to get a refrigerator that has a freezer for some of the things that I would like to save so that I don't have to keep going out after the treatment starts. So thank you for your donations and helping me get something like a refrigerator that has a freezer, because it is a big deal. My next goal is to get a blender for the smoothies. Thank God for my uncle being around and helping me out with, carrying things and doing grocery shopping, and just a lot of different things, because it would be so difficult in order to get all of my, post shopping done because of the surgery, and then knowing what's to come. I would say that even though I'm feeling a lot better physically, emotionally, things get to be a bit taxing. So at least with my uncle here, I'm able to take care of the things that are too challenging for me or can be overwhelming. So I don't drive. So it was nice to be able to get my refrigerator. My uncle dropped me off at the hospital, brought my refrigerator here, and then came and picked me up from the hospital yesterday where the doctor's office was. So that just made it easier for me to process certain things that need to be done. School just finished this past week. So right now I'm in the process of grading presentations that were great by my students. And so I will officially be unemployed this month, in the next, I guess, week or so. And I think the timing is great. The semester has ended, so now I can focus on my treatment. And I thank you so much again for your generosity with your prayers and your donations, because that is how I am going to get through the next few months. And I will be looking for part-time work, but I don't know how I'm going to feel during this whole process. So I'm not gonna, stress out. I'm just going to pace myself. And, I spoke to you a little bit about the fact that I will be adhering to a certain diet as this treatment, proceeds, but I also need spiritual food. And so I spoke to Pastor Andy, who's a local pastor, and has been really wonderful throughout this process, and encouraging me and praying for me. And I told him, I was like, I have to be on a physical diet, which I bought a scale for to make sure I'm eating and getting enough protein. Thank you very much for that as well. And so I said, I'm on this physical diet, or I will be, but I need to make sure that I'm spiritually healthy as well. Can you recommend something for me in that regard? And he did. He told me about Henry Blackaby, who is a well-known Christian author, and he mentioned a devotional that will kind of help me be grounded to spend time with God, because I think that this diagnosis that I had has not just helped me to understand that I have some physical things to address, but there's also some spiritual healing and some mental, emotional healing as well. And so, even though I hate the idea of having to go through what I'm going to go through, I do see it as a refining process, and I need to heal from the inside out. So I'm really grateful about that. This Christmas, I will be hanging out with a friend, Michelle, who is not, well, she's not super close to me in terms of distance, but I think it will work out. I'll be able to hang out with her, and she's offered me a place, to stay if I want to stay overnight during Christmas. And so I won't be alone for Christmas, because I know some of you are asking me about that. And the homeowners, they will be doing something dinner-wise as well. So I will be great for the holidays. Thank you. And just taking it easy, to be honest, just really relaxing. And what else? There's a lot of stuff that I could cover and could talk about, but it's, like I said, a little overwhelming. But if you have questions for me, please do call, text, reach out, and let me know what your thoughts are. And I continuously welcome your prayers. And that's something I can still do for people. I can pray for people. And to be honest, I'm happy to know how I can pray for other people, because it takes the focus off of myself, and I know that prayer works even when we don't see the results the way that we want to, when we want to, how we want to. God is still good, and I'm trying to hold on to the blessings that may seem small but make a significant difference in everyday life. Like that refrigerator yesterday was a blessing to me on so many different levels. So thank you again for your donations and for your time, your prayers, and your love. And I do know I'm blessed, and 2020 is almost, over. So I'm excited about that. So thank you so much, and Merry Christmas.